Hello guys, welcome back to my another video, and in this video I'm going to be making a painting, and also I'm going to talk about this book series I just finished. I finally got out of my reading slump. Yes, congrats to me. So the painting I'm painting is this landscape sort of view from this book series called Caraval series, and this series is written by Stephanie Garber and currently has 3 installments: Caraval, Legendary, Finale. To begin, Caraval is sort of a carnival slash circus slash performance, and quote unquote, it is not just a game or a performance, it's the closest you'll ever find to magic in this world. Yes, I am quoting from the book. So basically, Caraval is this a once in a year magical performance which happens, and many performances that happens do not obey the law of physics and this world things, and many people just say that that whole performance is based on magic, which might be true, which might not be true. You'll know if you read the books. So this book focuses on 2 sisters, Scarlet and Tella. So book introduces us, like the first book introduces us with Scarlet, who is the older sister. She's more cautious, very protective, and going to be engaged. And then the younger sister, who is more risk-taking, spontaneous, and more lively of a sort. So what happens is these 2 sisters, they live on a small island with their father, who is cruel and abusive, and he is trying to marry off Scarlet to this random count whose identity is kind of unknown till the second book. So a week before her wedding, Scarlet receives ticket for Caraval, which is once in a lifetime opportunity for them to go there. So with the help of this mysterious sailor, wink wink, they go to Caraval, and when Scarlet arrives at Caraval, she finds out that her sister has been kidnapped by this person who runs the Caraval called Legend. Now, Legend is one of my favorite characters in the book, and I love how anonymous he is. And I love how throughout the first book and the second book, you are constantly thinking, like, who is Legend? And honestly, at one point, I was suspecting Scarlet to be Legend, not gonna lie. So that was a really fun part. Like, you expect this person to be Legend, but he's not Legend, and he's Legend, and then and all the suspense and twist, and every time you learn something about someone, something happens. It might not be true, or there is a twist to that, and I just love how many twists there are. There are surprises on every chapter. You learn something about character, you find another clue, something happens which always surprises you. So there are twists in every chapter, and it keeps the story interesting. Like, there is no boring part in the story. Like, while I was reading it, I was always hyped up about each chapter, especially in the end. That was an emotional roller coaster ride, honestly. And the writing style is kind of purple prose type style. It's not very realistic though. It's more like fantasy writing style, fairy tale, like he smelled like death and midnight and that sort of thing. So though it do come off like some people do not like this kind of writing styles, I don't mind it. I love this kind of writing styles. I love metaphors, so I like the writing style. Also, there were certain plot holes during the story which were not answered in the whole series, and I think she could have done better to make to set up the world this was set in, because apparently there is Kingdom and there is Conquered Isle. We don't know anything about their past, future, or present. Like, we know nothing about them, how they came to be. What do you mean by Conquered Isles? We have no idea. So I think she should have worked more on the setting and the world this was set in. And sometimes some information was presented to us which seemed very important but plays no part in their life in future. So I think that was one of the bad parts about the book. For example, if you spoiler alert, if you read the book, you know the history between Legend and their grandmother. However, I do not see that story playing any part in future, in second book or third book. And I think it should have played certain part because excuse me, your grandmother, it was kind of weird. I try to forget that part oftentimes while reading the third book, especially. I really tried to forget. I just think it was one of the stories they tell in the carnival and it was not true. So, and then there were like people, and actually I think I will take it as a good part and the bad part as same, because even though I enjoyed it, it was kind of frustrating how everything we learned about characters in book 1 was kind of false, and then we reintroduced the same characters in book 2, and then some characters even changed. Like, for example, spoiler alert again, if we were introduced the way we were introduced to Dante in book 1, which was this mysterious and very polite stranger who might help you but is kind of prudish, but then he changed, and in second book he was flirty and mysterious, and he could be nice and like flirty and kind of petty also, but then in book 3 he just becomes a hopeless romantic and stuff. So I think the character arcs were not that good. They could have been better. There was not much development on Stella's part. She remained reckless, I hope, and she sort of thought she had to do everything on her own, not realizing that she keeps repeating the same mistake, if you understand, if you know what I mean. Scarlet, on the other hand, had a complete curve of her character arc. Suddenly there was no development. At one point she was doing this, and then other point she's like, no, I have to make. She just decided to change the other day, and I think it could they could have made it a slower development than such a spontaneous one. One day she wakes up and she's like, you know what, I'm going to do the most unscarlet thing ever, and she does that. It wasn't very realistic, and individually I didn't like many characters, especially not both sisters. I wasn't a very big fan of them individually, though one thing which I adore about this book is the dynamic between those two sisters. I know individually I said I don't like them, but I loved how they both worked together, and their fierce protectiveness with each other, and their fierce love, and how they both the first thing they think about is their sisters, themselves. They didn't care about their love interest or anyone else. They cared about them first, which I liked. And I like how the both sisters play a very important part throughout the series. They're both important. There's not one sister who overshadows the other, and they both kind of work as I saved the day hero. I like that. I appreciate that. And honestly, reading a lot of this sister dynamic, it kind of annoys me how one sister is always better than other. But for this, they're both good. I can both like them in as a sister duo, but individually I'm not really a fan of either one of them. I find Tella too reckless, and I find Scarlet too boring. I think the only character I like, which I actually adore, is Julian. But then again, he keeps lying. He like there. I feel like the author constantly wants to bring out some fault in him. He could be a perfect person, but then he suddenly lies or do something which is totally unexpected and kind of like, why would you do that? Like, what is the purpose of you doing that? So I don't know. It's like interesting book. I am really excited about this book, honestly, and I love the read. It is mysterious. It is exciting. It is spontaneous. You know something is happening. The plot is never slow or boring. But if you're really looking for something deep and serious, this is not the book. But if you're looking for something to get out of your reading slump, to make you excited about like a story, something, I think this book is perfect for you to read. One thing, however, I would say is, many people when they describe Caraval, they say it's like Night Circus. It's not like Night Circus. When you're reading that, do not compare it with Night Circus, otherwise it will definitely put this book off, because Night Circus was a piece of art, like the traditional piece of art. The Night Circus was A Starry Night by Van Gogh. And Caraval is like, some portrait by some modern artist. They're both good in their own way, but they should not be compared. And overall though, I will say I really really enjoyed reading this book, and I'll definitely recommend it. And if you find this review helpful and if you're interested in the book, do go and read it. It's not a bad book. I honestly really enjoyed it. And if you like the painting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.